following the recent and continuous devaluation of the naira and, of course, the rising inflation that had risen to as high as 29.9%. There has been an increased level of clampdown on cryptocurrency trading platforms who have engaged in the P2P, that is the peer-to-peer transactions of the naira and the dollar. And how much of an effect will that have with regards to strengthening the naira? And joining me now is an economic analyst, Aliyu Ilyas. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, Doctor, like I pointed out, of course, we have seen rising inflation to over about 29.9%. And the current CBN governor, the person of Yemi Cardoso, made a very shocking revelation at the end of the recent MPC meeting where he said about $26 billion had passed through Binance Nigeria in 1 year. In my opinion, those are very, very high numbers. But let us hear from you. What is your take on such, high number of transactions going on cryptocurrency trading platforms?
Well, it's becoming so surprising when he bring out those information as if it's new information. That was 2023. We don't even know what has been going on in 2024 so far. But for me, I think as CBN, you are supposed to be to monitor day-to-day what goes on, because anything you don't monitor, you cannot manage. So if you don't monitor what goes on in all financial sector of Nigeria, you cannot actually manage effectively. So for me, I think Nigeria has fallen short of doing the right thing by monitoring this platform over time compared to now that they are now complaining. Now we are seeing them as being the major business of crypto is to speculate. So when you speculate, then maybe you plan to gain from that speculation. So we should know that every organization that speculates is also in anticipation for a negative effect that will bring a positive externality to their own good. So for me, they are now accusing Binance of manipulation, not even speculation. So that's where the problem comes now. How do you mean by manipulation? So when you say manipulation, does it mean CBN and other financial sector are also using Binance as a factor to measure the value of naira? That's the question. So if Bureau de Change are now seeing Binance as a platform to give them speculation that they will follow, or that's the meaning of manipulation, that becomes a problem. So that simply means there is no adequate regulation on the part of Binance from federal government, and also on the part of federal government to Bureau de Change. So it's a serious problem that we need to tame. However, we should also take our responsibility.
Doctor, I have a very, I would say, honest question from you now. And I ask because I understand that there is little to no monitoring, and regulating that happens when it comes to blockchain transactions. So how much of regulation can the CBN really do when it comes to, cryptocurrency transactions on a blockchain?
Now, looking at crypto, it has no central platform, no central management. But as a country, we have seen US doing that. As a country, you can now have a system that before you withdraw money from that platform, we must know how much, and who is actually going to. If you look at the reasons why they are arresting these people, they said two of them, they told them that they should bring out the documents showing, or the data rather, showing the transaction of 2023 and who features, but they decide to decline. That's why they actually arrest them, that no, they cannot give you those documents. So since $26 trillion has passed through a particular platform for a year, after the incident, you are now saying no, you want to see it. It's counterproductive. So you can only create a regulation going forward that will tame such occurrence, not that you ask for a record, because once they release that record to you, it makes a lot of people to be susceptible to you, and it's a closed business. It's a peer-to-peer. So it's a free platform for people to trade, and it's a global. We have about 170 million people day-to-day trading on that platform. You can only control your own end and leave the rest for the world. Mm-hmm. So that is it.
Speaking about regulation, already we do have, some sort of regulation in place. There is the National Blockchain Policy, which was enacted in 2023 last year. December. But then again, looking at how, the matters are currently being handled, there are quite a number of opinions that have come from different quarters, and one of those is that there is a thin line between regulating and strangulating. And I say this because we have seen, some other countries accept cryptocurrency and eventually make it the legal tender. And one of those, I believe, is El Salvador. And we've seen growth come out from these countries that have adopted, cryptocurrency as the legal tender. So let us hear from you. The current events that we are witnessing, is this us throwing away, I'll say, the baby with the bathwater, or is there another way we could have gone about this?
Right. I think when you made mention of strangulating, and that's why I want to come from this platform. I think Nigeria is magnifying, or federal government is over magnify this cryptocurrency, and it's a problem. It's because it gives much credence to speculation. Now, this arrest and this process, I don't think it's what they should bring to the fore of the populace. It's what you can do at background and create your own law that will actually tame this and make it not happen. Not that you bring it to the fore of the. It even show weakness on your part that you've not been doing what you're supposed to do. So when you talk about strangulating and regulating for Nigeria, if it is not accepted, if there is no level, it's not bad if you strangulate what you think have negative impact on your economy. So at this, we have a fragile economy. An economy that does not actually export as expected, an economy that does not attract foreign direct investment that would have engendered us having more supply side of dollar. Right? We don't have those things. Then we are now banking back on what? On speculation. So when you have too much speculation, it brings a problem. So how do we tame this speculation? And I think that is why they are falling back to Binance or other crypto platforms. But for me, I think this CBN governor should do more, because I look at even the MPC, I discovered that it's much more policy that is going to be counterproductive, if you ask me.
Okay, one of the latest, I'll say, developments from Binance Nigeria, this morning I realized that, when it comes to the P2P, that is the peer-to-peer transactions, the Naira had been removed from the list. So right now, as I speak, Nigerians can no longer, engage in the P2P transactions. But let us hear from you. You've talked on regulation, and I personally believe that moving forward, the only way we can address this issue is through regulation. So juxtaposing, you made mention of the United States, or comparing Nigeria with the United States, what sort of regulation can we or should we put in place now to address these issues?
Now, looking at USDT and USDC and removing of Naira from the platform, I think is much more cosmetics. When you see something is cosmetic, it does not have really, effect on people that run this platform, because they have way of, running this business that they know when to get this money out, when to put it in, and trust people that are in that business. They are so sophisticated, and that's why you say, if CBN actually want to monitor these people, if they are in the cloud, please follow them to the cloud. In fact, you be in the cloud before they get to see you, there, and that is the way.
What do you mean by being in the cloud before them?
Right. The fact remains that these people are very smart. When you talk about finance, everybody in finance are very smart in terms of monitoring, because when you any little mistake, you are losing a whole lot. This money, some people must have lost millions of naira. So they are also smart to also think ahead of it. And that's why I say, if you want to regulate, you must also be ahead of these people. So if they are in the cloud, be in the cloud before them, or you be there with them and monitor them, back to back, so that you can really get a result. So for me, I think it's cosmetics for you to come to the public and say you are stopping it. Go to the back end and really do your work. Now, you could see that American has also, at a particular time, used a strong regulation to caution this Binance and other crypto for manipulation. So if we have got to know this, that means we have to do more in Nigeria that have much more weaker economy, and our Naira is not a store of value. It's only trading tools for them to really get what they want. So we need to do more in terms of regulation. So the way we regulate BDC, they just brought out some regulation and what have you. We can still do further in this Binance. And I must also tell you that BDC and the crypto, they are like family sometimes. There's a way they work together, and that's why we need to actually look into it. So looking at BDC before now, we have over 5,689 BDC. Now you are bringing it to first tier, second tier. So when you bring to first tier, second tier, that means the regulation also affects the two in a different way. We wouldn't want to go deeper. That's not subject of discussion for now. However, you just have to look at this crypto currency. Is something that's come to stay globally. So how do you manage it on your part so that you don't have the negative externalities that it usually come with? But you cannot stop Nigerians from going to that platform. As like this money, as you are remove them from that platform, they're also using another method. And for me, arresting these two people, I recall one of the what I read is that when they asked them to bring out the data, they say no, please take us to our embassy. They are looking at way to really defend themselves. They are global business people, so it's you that will guide your own, territory for them not to manipulate, not to speculate to affect your naira. So I think we should do more by doing the right thing, not being cosmetics by arresting these people, doing all sorts of things that is just like playing to the gallery. We should do regulation and we should monitor and follow up. Anything you don't monitor, you cannot manage. So you should be there to monitor it day to day as well, to see the negative impact that it will have on the Nigerian economy.
Indeed, anything you cannot monitor, you cannot manage. And part of the development is the detaining of 2 top executives of Binance. And you've talked about, the cosmetics around it. But let's hear from you. These very stringent and, do I say, quick responses that we are seeing from the federal government, are these measures permanent? I ask this because, like you have rightly, or you stated rather, you talked about, the razzmatazz around, addressing the issues around the naira and the dollar. But are these permanent measures?
I beg to disagree. Even this is not a quick response. Because this thing has been happening over time. They've been there. In fact, Nigeria has created blockchain law and a lot of things to regulate. So it is just now, they just want to it's more of reactionary, not a proactive measure. And we look at a proactive measure more. So for me, arresting these people, it will end up going to court because their lawyer also will go to court and say, these are people on bail and let's face it. The only thing I will say is that most Nigerians must have lost their money. This money, that's the negative part of it. So if they also lost, like I said, they will also find a way, it's like something that changes. They also find a way to. So for me, we should have much more regulation, follow up our regulation and stop the policy some sort. At a point, Emefiele say no to them. At a point, they say, yes, let's develop a blockchain. At a point now, you are saying no to them again. So you have to have like you mentioned, a country who has adopted it. Once you adopt something, it's not backyard business again. It's finding it difficult to even affect your economy because you are seeing it and they are open. So if you don't accept, say you don't accept, you accept, don't halfway do this because it will continue to have negative impact on the economy.
Okay, let's talk a bit, on the just concluded MPC meeting.
Right.
A lot was put on the table, to curb inflation and to, of course, strengthen the naira. But aside from, the clampdown on cryptocurrency, which was also one of the major problems that the Central Bank of Nigeria governor spoke about, he also spoke to issues, around, seeing easing in the market and all of those. But what other measures would you advise the CBN took at this point, aside from the cryptocurrency, measures they have started working on already?
You see, if you're looking at our forex problem and our inflationary problem, it's beyond these people. It's much more of a structural problem. We have known before now that we have food cost push inflation, food or cost push inflation. We have known before now that we have insecurity that affect our food supply chain before now. So these are the things they should look at more by solving those things, because if you solve those they are not little, those major things, it will reflect on day to day. Then our forex policies are another thing. You have agreed that now you are floating your naira, so it's you that actually subject yourself to this, what we are seeing. So if you now float the naira, you should also make sure that you do everything that will make the floating work on your favor. But now it's not possible. Before now, let's just go to manufacturing sector. Before now, you see manufacturing sector complaining, no forex, no this, no that. In fact, they came out directly that they hardly even access forex directly, and that's why I always talk about Nigerian banks. Nigerian banks are smiling and they are declaring more profit every day. Yeah, right? Then Nigeria economy itself is going down, and that's why you have to see the correlation, and you have to also see this Binance, see the Bureau change, and also see the banks, because banks in the long run are also capable doing business with all these people. So if you are doing regulation, regulate your bank, regulate your Bureau change, and you see that those Binance you are looking at, they will have less impact on the Nigeria economy. So for me, I think we should face our structural problem that has to do with our food, our security, beyond cosmetic approach, playing to the gallery. Let Nigerians see that you are working. Do the right thing at the right time. I think this would have solved Nigerian purchasing power in the long run, because all what we are saying is that if dollar is now 1,400, it needs to be stabilized for a month for you to see the change in the market. So we want to see dollar coming down to below 1,000 and have the stability. And remember, the essence and the major work of CBN is price stability. So they should do all they can do structurally that will make sure dollar, because the supply side is also a problem. So if we solve all this problem, we'll have a structural focus, then we'll solve a major problem. So
talked about the structural relationship between banks, the Binance and of course the Bureau de Change, right, and even the stock market.
Right, stock markets too.
So when should we expect, okay, we also saw the change in the monetary policy rate. When should we expect to start to see the ease when it comes to, inflation and all these other metrics that are used to measure economic indicators? When should we start to see some form of easing?
It is quite sad to say. I don't see the ease coming so soon, because the policy approach that CBN is looking at now, they are much more concerned on price stability. They are not concerned on inflation. Right. So, and if the CBN, the monetary policy is not working to an extent in pari passu with the fiscal policy, become a problem. So now Nigeria has gotten much more money, right? So now the subnationals are getting more money, and we are giving them over 1 trillion FAC that they are sharing now. What's the impact of that money on what? On productivity. It is until the most money we are sharing shows on productivity, that's where Nigerians should expect a better side, because now the MPR is now way too high, 22.75%.
Over 400 basis points.
What does that simply mean? It simply means that government is trying to attract foreign direct investment, right? If you want to attract foreign direct investment, you have to put up your infrastructure, energy security, and all those things. We have not done it. Now, you are discouraging manufacturer. Remember, as at yesterday, manufacturer said they have unsold. Do you know what it means for a manufacturing sector to have unsold? Simply means they produce, they didn't have people to buy. Why are we not buying? Because we don't have purchasing power. What will bring purchasing power? It is by capital expenditure. People will now have much money to go to the market. So these are the, so we should solve the two together, not focusing on monetary policy and leaving out the fiscal policy. For me, that is way too high. So if manufacturing a man would think, let me just go and also put my money in bank and collect interest instead of going to invest in manufacturing. And if you don't invest in manufacturing, what happens? There will be unemployment. When there is unemployment, what will happen? There will be low GDP, because they are canvassing on GDP. The GDP will also get low too, because when you don't have much push out, it becomes a problem. So it's a myriad of issues, but we need to stop working on only monetary, leaving out the fiscal policy.
Indeed, the fiscal and monetary, work hand in hand, and focus shouldn't just be on the monetary side, but also on the fiscal side. Thank you, Aliyu Ilyas, economic analyst, for your insight on today's edition of the program.
Thank you for having me.
And this is where we draw the curtains on today's edition of Business Daily, which is coming to you on Trust TV. Join the conversation on social media and let us hear your thoughts on the recent development with the federal government trying to clamp down, major cryptocurrency trading platforms. But for myself, Chiamaka and Nendu, thank you for watching, and bye for now.